The five-star restaurant Lumiere shimmered. Golden chandeliers glowed brilliantly, illuminating Marcus Reid's tailored charcoal suit. The notoriously cold 34-year-old CEO stood near the entrance, his 6-year-old daughter Sophie cradled protectively in his arms, her white designer dress pristine against his shoulder. Sophie's small fingers twisted nervously at his collar. "Daddy, everyone's looking at us," she whispered. Marcus was heading toward the VIP section when he abruptly stopped. His gaze landed on a corner table where a woman sat, weary but radiant in a modest dress, laughing as she helped her animated 7-year-old son fold his napkin into a shape. Sophie froze in his arms, utterly captivated. Marcus frowned deeply. "Sophie, our table is ready." But his daughter whispered, her voice carrying rare insistence, "Daddy, I want to sit with them." Victoria Sterling, 30, was exhausted but happy. She was a single mother juggling survival, a former military trauma doctor now working as a waitress and occasional cleaner, all to shield her 7-year-old son, Evan, from the medical field that had cost her everything. Their life was frugal but rich in presents. Despite her limited budget, Victoria always made sure to take Evan out for a special, inexpensive weekend meal to celebrate small victories. Today was especially important. Evan had earned Student of the Week. Lumiere was impossibly out of their league, but Victoria had discovered a small bistro next door that served excellent pasta. When a flustered new hostess accidentally seated them inside Lumiere's main dining room instead, Victoria hesitated, but Evan's delighted face stopped her from correcting the mistake immediately. She'd let him have this one magical moment before they quietly moved to the right restaurant. Marcus's assistant hissed in his ear, "Sir, this isn't the plan. Stay on brand." But Sophie's grip on his collar tightened, her whispered plea impossible to ignore. Marcus made a decision that stunned even himself. He crossed the dining room, Sophie still in his arms, and stopped at Victoria's table. "My daughter wishes to join your table. May we?" Victoria looked up, recognition flickering across her face. She'd seen him on business news, but there was no fear in her eyes, only calm assessment. "Of course." Evan beamed. "Hi, I'm Evan. Want to see my drawing?" Sophie actually smiled. Marcus carefully set Sophie down in the chair, the first time all evening he'd released her, and sat awkwardly across from Victoria. She leaned towards Sophie with easy warmth. "What do you like to draw, sweetheart?" "Butterflies," Sophie whispered. Marcus froze. He didn't know that. When Sophie struggled with her silverware, Victoria gently demonstrated, her hands patient and sure. Sophie leaned into the touch instinctively, trustingly, nothing like the stiff distance she maintained with her nannies. Marcus's throat tightened with devastating realization. His daughter trusted this stranger more than she trusted him. Whispers rippled through the dining room like a cold wind. "Is that Marcus Reid? With a waitress?" The judgment was palpable, eyes dissecting the impossible scene. Marcus tensed, calculating PR damage, but Sophie gripped his hand. "Daddy, I like her. She listens to me," Evan announced proudly. "My mom is the smartest person ever. She knows everything about science." Victoria, acutely aware of the spectacle, ordered modestly from the menu. When Sophie declared, "I want whatever Evan is having," the waiter's expression curdled with thinly veiled disdain. "Madam, perhaps the child should order from her own family's menu?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Bring 2 of whatever she ordered, and send your manager to me." From a nearby table, Constance Whitmore's voice carried deliberately, "I thought the Reid dynasty maintained standards." "How progressive!" Victoria lowered her gaze, accustomed to contempt. But Sophie stood up in her chair, small and fierce. "Miss Victoria is nicer than anyone here." Evan jumped up beside her. "Yeah, you're all mean." The restaurant went silent. Marcus watched his daughter defend a stranger with more passion than she'd ever shown for anything in her carefully managed life. Something fundamental was shifting. Marcus's assistant burst through the entrance, face pale. "Sir, emergency board meeting. Richard Blackwell is making his move." The restaurant went silent. Marcus's face drained of color, his hand gripping the table edge until his knuckles went white. His breath came shallow and rapid. Victoria recognized the signs instantly, acute stress triggering cardiovascular response. She didn't hesitate. Moving around the table with swift precision, she checked his pulse, her voice calm and commanding. "Sophie, sweetheart, get me that glass of water. Evan, find sugar packets." The children responded immediately. Victoria elevated Marcus's feet slightly, loosened his collar, administered sugar water with practiced efficiency. Staff whispered urgently, "Who is she? How did she know what to do?" Within minutes, Marcus's breathing stabilized. He looked at Victoria, voice hoarse with confusion and gratitude. "Why did you help me? After how they treated you?" Victoria's gaze was steady, but it wasn't focused on him. It was on Sophie, whose small face had gone white with terror. "Because your daughter needs her father alive. No child should watch their parent collapse." Marcus realized with crushing clarity, in his moment of greatest weakness, the only person who'd acted with competence was the woman everyone had dismissed as the help. Marcus insisted they move to a private VIP lounge. While Sophie and Evan played quietly in the corner with crayons, Marcus opened up about the coup, his voice low and defeated. "Blackwell wants me out. Says I'm too rigid, too isolated to lead effectively. I just gave him his evidence on camera." Victoria assessed him with clinical precision. "You're exhausted. That wasn't just stress. You're running on nothing. When's the last time you actually rested?" Marcus stared at her. "You speak like a medical professional." Victoria hesitated. Then Evan called out cheerfully, "Mom, tell him about when you saved the soldier." She met Marcus's eyes, old pain surfacing. "I was an emergency trauma doctor in the military, specialized in combat field medicine and acute crisis response." Marcus went still, recalibrating everything. Victoria continued, her voice quieter now. "But I left after my husband died in a car accident. I was in surgery, a critical case, when they called. By the time I got to him, it was too late." She paused, fighting emotion. "I decided if I couldn't save the one person who mattered most, I didn't deserve to save anyone. So I traded the operating room for whatever work keeps me close to Evan, where I can protect what matters." Marcus understood completely. They were both hiding from failure. Just as understanding formed between them, Sophie suddenly went quiet. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. "Daddy, what if you die like Mommy?" Victoria recognized it immediately. Panic attack, triggered by seeing her primary caregiver in distress. Sophie's breathing accelerated dangerously. "Everyone says you work too much. What if you don't come home?" Marcus reached for her, but his hands hovered uselessly. He didn't know how to calm her, didn't know what to say. The realization crushed him. "I run an empire, but I can't comfort my own daughter." Victoria knelt beside Sophie without hesitation, demonstrating rhythmic breathing, grounding her with sensory questions. "Sophie, can you feel this soft blanket? What color are the lights above us?" Within minutes, Sophie's breathing slowed. She relaxed completely into Victoria's arms, her small body surrendering to comfort. "You smell like my mommy used to," Sophie whispered. Marcus watched, something breaking irreparably inside his chest. He'd never seen his daughter surrender to comfort this way. Not with him, not with any of her nannies, not with anyone. His wealth, his power, his control, none of it could provide what this stranger offered naturally, simple, unconditional presence. He was failing her. Marcus's assistant burst back in, phone screen glowing. "The video of your collapse is everywhere. The board is convening to invoke the medical fitness clause." Marcus slumped, all fight draining from him. "It's over. Blackwell wins." Victoria stood, her voice shifting to military precision. "You're not just a CEO, you're a father. And Blackwell is using your humanity against you." No one had ever framed it that way before. Victoria analyzed the situation with tactical brilliance. The timing of the leak, your assistant's convenient panic, this was coordinated. Blackwell needed public pressure on shareholders. He probably hired someone on your staff to document any weakness. She paced, thinking aloud. "We don't hide the collapse, we reframe it. A father's exhaustion from fighting a hostile takeover while protecting his daughter and company. We turn his weapon into your testimony of sacrifice." Marcus stared at her, astonished. "You're thinking strategically at corporate level. You see what my entire legal team missed, the human element in the power play." Sophie ran to Victoria, wrapping small arms around her waist. "Please don't leave us, Miss Victoria. Daddy needs you." Victoria met Marcus's eyes over Sophie's head. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of partnership, of possibility. 7. Marcus invited Victoria and Evan to his mansion, ostensibly to plan strategy, but really because Sophie refused to let Victoria leave. The children disappeared immediately to explore. Within minutes, the mansion echoed with something it had never held before, genuine child laughter. Evan showed Sophie how to build a blanket fort using her expensive, untouched toys in ways she'd never imagined. Over dinner, Evan told stories of Victoria's superhero moments, fixing their landlord's burst pipe at midnight, talking down a panicking neighbor during a fire. Sophie listened, captivated, laughing so hard she could barely eat. Marcus watched Victoria in his kitchen, helping his chef with easy competence, and felt something shift in his chest. Later, over coffee in the library, Marcus asked quietly, "How do you make it look effortless?" "Being present. I have teams managing Sophie's schedule, but I still miss everything." Victoria met his eyes. "You don't miss moments because you're busy. You miss them because you're not there even when you're physically present. My time is my only real wealth. I have nothing else to give Evan but myself." Sophie appeared in the doorway, tugging Victoria's hand. "Miss Victoria, will you tuck me in? Daddy doesn't know how." Marcus froze. The admission was devastating. On the terrace overlooking the city, Marcus confessed what he'd never admitted to anyone. "I thought keeping Sophie in a perfect bubble, expensive schools, carefully managed schedule, pristine environment, was protecting her. Tonight I realized I built a beautiful cage. You gave her 2 hours of genuine joy my entire fortune couldn't purchase." Victoria leaned against the railing. "Money isn't the problem. Distance is. You can be wealthy and present. You just have to choose connection over control." Marcus stared at the city lights, his voice breaking. "After Sophie's mother died, I decided if I controlled everything perfectly, I could prevent more loss. But I didn't keep death out. I kept life out. I haven't just been carrying Sophie through life. I've been carrying her past it without letting her actually live." Silence stretched between them, heavy with understanding. At the door, Marcus made his plea. "Come to the company tomorrow. Not just for the board meeting, for me. I need someone who sees the human being struggling inside the CEO. Someone who makes me want to be better." Victoria met his eyes, seeing all his vulnerability laid bare. "For Sophie, I'll be there. I promise to help you become the father she needs." The emergency shareholders' meeting crackled with tension. Blackwell displayed the viral video, narrating Marcus's instability with theatrical precision. Victoria stepped forward, commandeering the presentation with quiet authority. "This footage shows acute stress response. Temporary, situational, not chronic. I should know. I'm Dr. Victoria Sterling, former military trauma surgeon. What Mr. Blackwell calls weakness, I call normal human physiology under coordinated attack." The room went silent. She methodically presented evidence. The deliberately timed leak, the assistant hired by Blackwell to document any vulnerability, the choreographed public pressure campaign. Then she shifted to character analysis. Mr. Blackwell used Mr. Reid's greatest strength, his fatherhood, as a weapon. This company isn't just built on quarterly earnings. It's built on a man who will sacrifice his own well-being to protect what he loves. That's not weakness. That's the kind of leader worth following. She produced documented proof exposing the entire conspiracy. Blackwell was immediately condemned and escorted out. Constance Whitmore stood humbled. "Who are you?" Marcus answered, his voice steady. "Dr. Victoria Sterling, the only person who never turned her back on me or my daughter. From today, she's my chief strategy and wellness officer." The board offered Victoria a permanent position. She set firm boundaries immediately. "I accept on one condition. Evan and Sophie are part of this arrangement. My work schedule allows me to remain a fully present mother. They're my priority, not negotiable." Sophie ran up, hugging Victoria's waist. "Please stay forever, Miss Victoria. Daddy needs you and I need you." Marcus, walls finally down, spoke from his heart. "I want you to stay too, Victoria, as my partner in every sense. Not because I need an employee, because I need you. We can build something together where our children's laughter matters more than quarterly reports." Evan clasped Sophie's hand, grinning. "So we're like brother and sister now." Victoria laughed through tears. "I think you are. The final scene. Marcus took Victoria's hand, no longer carrying Sophie, but walking beside her as she held Evan's hand. The four of them cast long intertwined shadows in the setting sun, a family created not by blood or wealth or corporate strategy, but by vulnerability, respect, presence, and the courage to choose love over control.